the incredible, the fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, come one and come all to a film you've never seen before. But remember, folks, no refunds.
Hello, and welcome to No Refunds, the podcast where we watch bad movies so you don't have to. A Cold North joint. I am your host, Ben Reynolds, and this week we watched... Oh, yeah. This week we watched Jim Gillespie's 1997 film, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Joining me for this discussion, we have dapper Tim Miller.
Hello there.
And the always effervescent Andrew Etchen.
Oh, hello.
He's drinking an effervescent beverage as well.
I'm drinking a Noob by Odd 13.
Good beer.
They are delicious.
That's delicious.
I've got Nelson the Greeter.
Ooh.
I've got an empty cup.
It's got a large fat naked man on the front. It's kind of weird. Check out everything we have going on over at coldnorthpro.com. And if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review wherever you found our podcast. And now, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
So the boy and girl are making out, right? When they hear over the radio that this lunatic killer's escaped from an insane asylum.
That's not the way it goes. The boy goes for help, and the girl stays in the car, and she hears this, scratching sound.
No, he's been decapitated. No, he was gutted with a hook.
What's wrong with you? What the?
Oh, my God.
You think he's dead?
We can't just leave him here.
Oh, tell me, little Miss Prelaw, what's the charge for manslaughter? We make a pact. Right here and now we take this to our grave.
For the last year, 4 friends have kept a secret.
Are you on drugs?
No.
Well, then what is wrong? I've had a rough year.
But not all secrets stay buried.
Somebody sent this to me.
Oh, my God. Someone knows.
I know what you did last summer. Ooh.
What they thought would be a new beginning
Toast to us.
is becoming a dead end.
Somebody tried to kill you last night. We have to go to the police.
If he wanted me dead, he could have done it.
And the mistake they made
It was an accident.
There was no accident. It was murder.
What if he's still alive?
Hey!
What are you doing here?
is coming back to haunt them.
Oh, my God.
He's after me, too. I got a letter. I got run over. Helen gets her hair chopped off. Julie gets a body in a trunk, and you get a letter? That's balanced.
He's waiting for us to unravel.
The wait is over.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
All right. So here we start out each week with the plot synopsis, and to get our plot synopsis, we go to Google and we Google the movie. And so this is what we've got for I Know What You Did Last Summer. A year after running over a fisherman and dumping his body in the water, 4 friends reconvene when Julie receives a frightening letter telling her that their crime was seen. While pursuing who he thinks is responsible for the letter, Barry is run over by a man with a meat hook. The bloodletting only increases from there as the killer with the hook continues to stalk Julie, Helen, and Ray. Is this an accurate plot summary? Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That's probably the most accurate one we've had so far.
Yeah, that's like... Yeah, like...
That's a bit too on the nose. I'm actually surprised.
This is like the first one where I really don't feel like I have that I want to add like
you have no critiques.
I'm like, oh,
no notes.
This is that's pretty accurate. I mean, yeah, because like you can't give away more than that, or else it takes away some of the scariness. And yeah, that's like I feel like that's a pretty accurate plot summary. It's really not missing anything.
Yeah, not without giving anything super
Really
wet.
wraps all together in a nice little package.
Yeah, like I mean, you could include more, but it's gonna give like stuff away. You can't. I mean, maybe you could include that they kill Max for no reason, but or that the killer kills Max for no reason, but
he kills a lot of people for no reason.
That's true. Like the cop. Yeah, that poor cop. Oh man.
Yeah. It had to be done.
Well, and the thing that I kept noticing is that like people kept like screaming and getting other people killed. Like when she keeps screaming behind you and to the cop, it's like Stop screaming. He'd probably be looking at the guy who's going to kill him if you weren't screaming in the fucking cop car.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is very
right?
true. He wouldn't be turning his back and be like, what the fuck are you freaking out about, bitch?
Ray
He's like
almost,
already looking in the right direction.
Ray
and she's
gets
like,
knocked
hey, be careful. He's like,
behind you. And then she literally yells, behind you. And it's like, he would have been looking that way if you hadn't started screaming.
Yeah.
And then later, Julie's on the boat and like she yells Ray, and Ray turns and looks at her and gets knocked off the boat. Why you distracted him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was
well, those are the classic like terrible slasher movie tropes, though, or like
I suppose
just how, I mean, even things like the reactions people do to getting things, like when she opens the note and she's just like, and like,
yeah,
like trying to like keep herself together, or like the, you know, when she opens the trunk and just like fucking screams, like all these, you know, it's like, I think you could handle that situation a little better.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations that they could have handled a lot better. Yeah, like
the ending.
Well, I mean that's like the whole process. Like if they had just been like, oh shit, we accidentally hit this guy with a car, we should call the police.
We should call 911. Yeah. Why was he walking on this middle of like this one of those really windy highways in the mountains?
Well, and it's like, okay, so yeah, even if you get in trouble a little bit for hitting a guy while you're drunk, at least you caught a fucking killer. He murdered the fucking chicks. He murdered the other dude, his daughter's boyfriend. Like,
yep.
you stopped him.
They didn't know that at the time.
No, they didn't. But had they just told the truth, they would have fucking figured it out.
It would have become an even better movie.
It would have been a happy ending.
They can remake it and make it like, do you remember what happened last summer?
It'd be a 15-minute short. You wouldn't need the rest of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh man. But and then like, oh yeah, that was definitely one question that I had written down was, how do you guys think you'd react in this situation? Like, if you were partying with some friends in high school and you guys hit somebody, what would you do?
I mean, personally, I'd be the one to check the pulse because obviously Ray had no idea what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, they just look at him like, he's fucking dead, man. And you're like, you can test that.
They started out pretty calm, kind of, though. Like, for the fact that they they realized, like, they found the boot, and then like shit gets real, and they kind of are a little bit calmer than I probably would be. Although,
like, I would
Freddie
definitely
Prinze
be
Jr.
panicked,
does say,
like
"We're gonna fry for this no matter what."
Like,
we're gonna hang, like, kind of thing. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I feel like I would try to like wake the person up or something, or like you would check their pulse and be like, oh my god, they're fucking dead. And if they were dead, I think I probably would call the police, because I would just be like, I can't fucking hide this. I'm never gonna be clever enough for that.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
see, no, I feel like it'd be in the process of hiding it in like a better spot than just kicking it into the ocean and then get caught while like driving down the road with it in the back seat or something.
Well, Ryan Phillippe Barry was such an asshole. Like, he's fucking dating Helen, Sarah Jessica Parker, or no, he actually grabs Jennifer Love Hewitt by the neck because she's like having second thoughts about it after you realize that he's fucking still alive, and Ryan Phillippe grabs her by the neck and like starts fucking like screaming at her and like telling her that she's a bitch for fucking just wanting to do the right thing. Like, it's fucked up, man.
Yeah. It was a different time.
I guess.
Different time
when you could choke a bitch for not agreeing with you. No, but seriously, like that. Like, that whole scene where he starts doing that, you're like, what kind of an extreme overreaction is that?
But he's also drunk as fuck.
Yeah, I did write that Ryan
Still
Phillippe,
not okay.
Ryan Phillippe plays
I know
a
it's
good
not okay.
high school asshole. Ryan Phillippe plays
Typical,
a very good high school asshole. Like
he did do a good job.
Probably the only thing that he really does well as an actor. I also wrote the next note that I have is that he was Hayden Christensen before Hayden Christensen was Hayden Christensen.
I actually thought it was Hayden Christensen at first, that I had to look it up.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh man. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to our questions. So each film we go through, we'll revisit these 6 questions to lead our discussion. So the first question that we start out with is how bad was it? I'd
throw it with like a 6. I'd be like, I didn't feel like I wasted my time watching it.
No, I enjoyed watching it. Like I'd say a 6 or so is probably about fair. Is a pretty fair rating, like 6 out of 10.
You're like, it wasn't a 4.
No.
I wasn't just like that was a waste of an hour and 20 something minutes.
Like
I kind of would rate it down and around a 4. I really did not care for this movie at all.
Better than Godzilla for sure.
Yeah, it's better than Godzilla, but still was not like worth the time to watch.
Not better than Bangkok Dangerous.
Nope. Better than Gotti.
Not better than Death Race. Definitely better than Gotti. Not better than Starship Troopers. Probably
Starship
better than
Troopers
Mortal Kombat.
still, in my opinion, is at the top of the list as the best of all the ones we've watched.
I think that Starship Troopers is holding the top spot down at this point.
Starship Troopers is still awesome. Like it's still entertaining as hell.
So it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. So what would you guys said it made it bad? So that's our next question. What made it bad?
It's like if you took Scream and then you just like diluted it and made it really, really like obvious and terrible.
I wrote under this question. I wrote the "What are you waiting for?" scene really sums it up.
Yeah,
where she just starts screaming
like
at the air,
spinning around in the dirt road.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
And if like an arrow just like came out of nowhere and like hit her in the neck, you'd be like, "Oh damn, what a twist!"
Well,
but otherwise, you're like, I wonder what's gonna happen next.
Well, and then I think when she was on the boat, that he actually had a picture of her in that scene on the wall of the boat, so he was actually watching them when she was screaming.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It was one of those little things I noticed, and I was like, "Oh damn!" He watched her scream. What are you waiting for?
It should have just said on the picture, "What are you waiting for?" Or just, "What am I waiting for?"
That's a question mark. It does have the slasher movie kind of feel, but it doesn't have the satire that Scream had. Because, in Scream, Jamie Kennedy's character has seen every horror movie, and so he is basically telling them what happens in horror movies, and he's like, well, yeah, this is gonna happen, blah blah blah, and he's like, oh, it can't be me because blah blah blah, and he's got all, and that part of Scream really makes Scream effective and really really good, I feel like. But this movie didn't have that.
Yeah, no, because the movie is sort of more like, nah, we'll just do what we want and have a guy kill a bunch of people, and then at the very end we'll be like, plot twist, it was one of them.
Well, but then the plot twist was really why was it why? So they make us think okay, it's this guy, or maybe it's Ray the whole time, and then at the end the plot twist is oh no, it's actually just the guy who we thought's father-in-law.
Yeah.
It's what?
It's just some asshole.
No, it's the guy that they ran over initially. I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah,
he's like, I didn't die.
You figured that, but it was one of those things where it's one of the biggest questions that I had is, how did they not realize that they hit a guy who was in his fucking 40s, not a guy who was in his fucking 20s?
Oh, yeah. It's not like they couldn't.
His face was kind of messed up in that scene, so.
Yeah.
But still, you can tell, someone could be, mangled to all hell, and you'd be like, I'm pretty positive that's, not a grown man.
That's not, that's not a 40-year-old man. That's a 20-something.
Especially if they're all supposed to be in high school.
Yeah. That was one of the
high schoolers are stupid, man.
Yeah, I was just like, what? Where? How?
But they did in all fairness, they thought they killed the guy, so they were like, "How could it possibly be that guy?"
Well, but I did like the little like kind of I guess it's a red herring that made you think that Ray was the killer, like, and then
that's the Scream thing. I think people sort of look at it like, oh, it's like Scream. It's just going to be one of the people in the friend group, but.
Well, and apparently that's how the book that it's based on goes, is that it was actually one of the people in the friend group, I guess.
The man with the hook.
But
in Scream? Yeah.
No, in the book. The film's based on the novel I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, something I forgot to throw in there that Patrick told me. He thought the movie personally was so bad that it was good. So if you wanted to throw that in your ratings from before, I forgot he asked me to tell you that.
We're almost to that question. That's one of our questions. It's been a while since you've been here, Andrew. Don't jump ahead too far. So the next question is, which character was the worst? I'm going to go ahead and just throw out Barry, because he was a fucking asshole. And, like...
He's just easy to hate.
Yeah, and, like, he was the one who fucking got them to not tell the cops. He was the one who, like... Barry was the fucking worst. Like... They wouldn't have had the problem. Well, and then, like, he also just, like, punches Ray in the face and says all that fucked up shit. Like, he's like, yeah, you always just wanted to hang out with our cool friend group. And it's like, if Barry hadn't died, he and Ray would not have been able to be friends after that. But he died. And got put in a giant ice chest.
Yeah, he kind of got what he deserved.
Yeah. The other person that I put Julie as an honorable mention, because Julie knew what they were doing was wrong, and she was like the only one who like was fully like, oh, this is wrong, but she still went ahead and did it anyways. But that was partially because Barry was such a dick and like tried to choke her out and shit.
Yeah, usually when that is occurring, you kind of just agree with the person.
Yeah,
like,
that's
true.
Could you
stop, please?
Please.
She still could have gone to the cops when she got home, though.
That's
Hands
true,
up, motherfucker.
That's true. What do you guys have anybody else for potentially worst character?
No, I mean I think Barry is definitely the top.
Barry was pretty bad.
In a way, aren't they all just equally terrible?
Yeah, that's pretty true.
This is true. But...
I was thinking that Melissa's not too terrible, but she that was the dude who they thought that they'd hit sister.
Yeah,
she didn't seem too terrible, but she did have the whole insurance fraud thing. So
that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Morally, she's not very good of a person.
Yeah.
But she didn't do it.
That's true.
She's an asshole. I'm not that jerky. Like,
and she then like apparently her, because that was she was played by like somebody Anne Hetchy, I didn't recognize that it was Anne Hetchy at all. But Anne Hetchy's actually like other stuff like, and I was like, oh, shit, it was Hetchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was watching. Yeah, it's Anne Hetchy. Yeah, but we're agreed that was the worst. Patrick said that he felt Julie was the worst because of what I had. I do all do victim. The whole situation would have been avoided. Barry was such an asshole.
Yeah,
it's entirely his fault.
Yeah,
he's the that he called the crash car into the guy to begin with.
Yeah. Barry was the worst by far. So on the other end, what character was that?
Definitely Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Helen. Oh, that was note that I had. You don't meet many Barrys or Helens nowadays.
Yeah.
Helen is like forever in my mind is like someone who came out, was born, and they immediately were like 45 years old.
Yeah, like if that Helen got in your 40s, and like I don't know anything Barry. The only person I can remember Barry is the character in that B Sherry on HBO.
Honestly, just in general, I've never met a Barry in my life that I've remembered fondly.
One of my friends' dogs named Barry.
Barry the dog.
All right.
So, Barry and Terry.
So Andrew throwing out Hannah as the best character.
Just because Buffy, she solved that. She could solve that.
Jennifer Love Hewitt is, or I mean, not Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's Juggler, and she is.
Yeah,
there's a lot of triple name people. Triple name people in this. Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Gellar, Ryan Phillippe was the only one.
Freddie Prinze would be a second throw in.
Yeah, I went with the dude who's the guy on fucking Big Bang Theory. He's Rusty on Big Bang Theory. I thought Max, because he's just a nice guy, liked Julie, and Clay had no chance, and basically he ended up getting murdered because he liked Julie.
So he was all up on the hill that night, so...
Up on the hill, but he didn't see anything.
So, he was there, had to die.
Had to die. Yeah.
He's just a nice guy.
You might have known.
I also have Benjamin Willis, who was the fisherman, because he's sort of like J. Walter Weatherman from Arrested Development, especially after he loses his hand. He's just teaching lessons, you know? And that's why
you don't run someone over with a car. That's why you always report a
I think the problem with that, though, he was killing indiscriminately halfway through the movie, though. Killed the cop that didn't need to die. He killed Helen's sister, who really didn't die. She was just there. So
he killed his sister's boyfriend, too. And that's really where it started the whole thing. Yeah, probably not Benjamin Willis. But I did think it was interesting. And I did draw a lot of parallels to J. Walter Woodman.
Yeah, I could see that. Honestly, to put out Ray for this, and he might have been kind of shitty, kind of made it seem like he did it, but he lost the guy at the end. Eventually, got the guy's hand actually chopped off. And he actually went and did his own research because he felt bad about the whole thing. Early on, he didn't tell anybody about it, but his intentions were good.
He tried to get with him when he went to go meet her.
That's true. That's the kind of.
Yeah, that's I mentioned about that. Ray tried to with the dude's pointing out his finger and give condolences. That's not very nice. Do what it has to do. A little bit.
Man, I think that's kind of fucked up. TBH, I'm not.
Like you wouldn't do the same.
Oh,
I mean, if it was Anne Hetchy,
waka.
Maybe.
She is pretty attractive. She is damn attractive. Yeah. I don't see anything for a while. She's on Chicago PD.
Oh, really?
She looks like she does all TV now and movies that go straight to DVD or something.
Spent most of the 90s. They were just first come television mama series.
What does Sarah Michelle Gellar do now? What does Freddie Prinze Jr. do now?
Sarah Michelle Gellar just sits around wishing she was Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Ron Phillippe is not even meant to freaking what's her name anymore? Reese Witherspoon. He used to be. They have kids to it, but I think married.
TBH, IDK.
Reese Witherspoon's pretty hot too, though.
A lot of girls in this movie were.
Oh man, yeah, that was definitely. I had a note that I was like, love the low cut tops.
Yeah.
There were a lot of low cut tops. I tried watching the movie and fell asleep on Friday night, and I was a little intoxicated and fell asleep. While I was intoxicated, I was referring to Jennifer Love Hewitt as Jennifer Tiss.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
I mean,
intoxicated notes.
That's one of the highest bullet points on the list.
For research purposes.
For research purposes.
All right, so that brings us to the question that we already know Pat's opinion on, and that is, was it so bad it was good? Pat is yes.
I spoiled that. No, garbage film.
Yeah, you're probably right. I was kind of leaning towards yes, but...
Yes.
Because last week we were talking about how I think a big part is if you would watch it again. And I think I would only watch this movie again. Especially the frickin'...
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
What am I waiting for? He's got "am" in capital letters with the lines underneath it. What am I waiting for?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning. I agree with Patrick. It's rewatchable, so I would probably say it was bad. It was good. I understand how you guys.
I think it's also a movie though. It's a movie you could watch with different people and different people would enjoy it. And you'd have a better time watching it. Depending on who you almost watch it with, with somebody or by yourself or with different people. You might I would watch movies like that because I just point out the flaws all over the place. And sometimes people love it. Most of the time, people hate it.
When I feel that actually makes a movie so bad that good. That if you could do things like that, Human Centipede is totally one of those movies.
I have never gonna watch that movie.
Dude,
nope.
You got to sometime.
Nope.
Put on the list.
Too fucking gross and disgusting.
It's disgusting, but it's hilarious.
I just like
it's not supposed to be hilarious.
Straight up disgusting.
Asian's face when he gets the shit in his mouth is just so funny.
I've seen the very beginning, I think, of that. When they first introduce all happening or something. I kind of remember it, but I was just nope, this is fucking so vile. That's why I can't watch Saw. I'm this is way too fucking gross and violent. No reason.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's murder porn. That's like what it is.
Basically.
And I'm like, I don't know. I can't even make it past like second 3 or 4 of Two Girls One Cup. Like I can't do that.
I mean, did you play Until Dawn? Number porn, like all the way around.
That's a video game. I don't know what it is about video game gore. I can look at video game gore all day and be like, eh. With
Fair.
Like, with the gore, I'm like, oh, blah. Like, it's just like so vile.
That's fair. So then our last question this week is: would have been as a Netflix/HBO series? Yeah,
Yes.
I think so because we would have had more
Because
time.
it would have been Netflix. Like it would have been amazing.
Well, and that's the whole first episode would have been them hitting the dude. Like what would have been the like beauty pageant, them hitting the dude, or them partying for 4th of July, then them hitting the dude and disposing of the body. Then the next episode would have probably been like the start of a year later, and like could have ended with like her getting the letter or something like that, like showing that their relationships were strained.
Didn't Netflix actually make like a series for Scream? I remember something like that, like a several episode Scream thing, and watching that a little, like not crazy long ago, but I don't know. I feel like they did something.
Like
I have no idea.
Still not, the movie we're talking about, but
but we know that they're very capable with horror because of a show like The Haunting of Hill House. I don't know if you guys have watched that.
Yeah, that's a great show.
No,
yeah,
but
it's really
Stranger
good.
Things and then 13 Reasons
Stranger
Why,
Things,
kind of dramatic. They could have easily pulled it off.
Okay. Yeah. No, I definitely think that it would have, like they could have, well, because that's like The Haunting, the movie The Haunting with Liam Neeson. It's the same story as The Haunting of Hill House.
I think so. The old one.
No, it is the same story, and that movie is not very good, but the TV show is incredible. And I think it's because they actually had time to develop the characters and stuff like that, and it's character development can help in a horror movie, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, different kinds of movies, television show versus like trying to cram a horror movie into like a several hour period.
Yeah, I think
people also digest TV shows better than movies. Most people prefer to watch like 30-minute increments for 5 hours rather than watching like an hour and a half long movie.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the truth. All right, well, let's move on then to our favorite segment each week, where we borrow from the rewatchables on the Ringer Podcast Network, and I pull out some half-assed internet research for you guys. So we're going to start out. I already told you guys the film is based on the novel I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan, which is from like the 70s, I guess.
Yeah, and the Man with the Hook.
Yeah.
Like the classic horror story.
Well, apparently the Man with the Hook is an
like
urban legend.
Tale.
Yeah, it's an urban legend campfire tale. But then I Know What You Did Last Summer is like a group of friends hit somebody with a car, but then, like I was saying earlier, one of the friends is actually like, it's like Ray would have actually been the bad guy if it was actually based on the book, like fully.
Yeah. But
then they changed it a little. So Kevin Williamson wrote the adaptation, and Kevin Williamson was the writer of Scream. So
and how did he soil so badly then?
Well, so
he just wanted to make something similar but same but different.
Apparently he had done when they heard about his, because like Scream he had written by himself as an original source and it was originally called Scary Movie, which is kind of hilarious that then they made a parody of Scream and this movie called Scary Movie.
Yeah. Scary movies are great.
Yeah, it's true. But so yeah, I guess that after Scream was so successful, Columbia realized that they had basically the option for a film by the same writer. And so they were like, "Oh, we could actually, if we just if we rush this into production, we can take advantage of this." So apparently, in anticipation of the film's release, Columbia Pictures began a marketing campaign that presented the film as being from the creator of Scream. Miramax
trying to build the hype.
Well, so Miramax, who was the distributor for Scream, subsequently filed a lawsuit against Columbia, arguing that the claim was inaccurate, as the director of Scream was Wes Craven, not Kevin Williamson. The week following the film's theatrical release, a federal judge awarded Miramax an injunction requiring that Columbia remove the claim from their advertising campaign. Williamson apparently had requested its removal before that, after he had seen a theater poster that had from the creator of Scream on it.
Yeah.
And then Miramax also
"Excuse me?"
won a subsequent lawsuit against Columbia during a 1998 hearing, essentially they vigorously pursued damage claims against Columbia Pictures for their use of the claim. But yeah, I found that to be interesting, because it was written by the same guy, but it was nowhere near as well written as Scream was, and yeah, I think that the adaptation part of it also fucked up. Interestingly enough, Kevin Williamson is also the creator of Dawson's Creek, which I guess is based on his life too. So I also
my lunch to get colder.
I also found out that they decided to add the scene where Max is killed in the crab factory after test screenings. In the original screenplay, Max didn't die, but they decided that they needed a death sequence earlier in the film so that they could establish a legitimate danger for the main characters. And I was like, fuck, they killed the best character because
they wanted to build some suspense.
Yeah, basically.
You're not needed. Dead. Here you go.
Dead.
I thought that was pretty funny, definitely.
Oh man.
It was actually this film was actually a box office success. It grossed $15.8 million on its opening weekend and a total of $72.5 million. It was number one. It was number one for 3 consecutive weekends, and it was made on a $17 million budget. So that's very successful, actually.
Back when it came out, it was a good movie.
Well,
now it's like a 5 out of 10.
Well, no, so it was critically it didn't do very well when it came out. A lot of people were like, are saying a lot of similar things to what we are. It's like, tried to be Scream, but it doesn't have any of the satire that Scream has, so it just doesn't come off quite right. It just doesn't. It's not as interesting.
It's just not as scowy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so then it spawned 2 sequels. The first one called I Still Know What You Did Last Summer from 1998. And then the third movie was I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer in 2006. Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., and
I'll never forget.
Muse Watson, Muse Watson was Benjamin Willis, the fisherman. They all reprised their roles in the second movie. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, but then I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer did not have any of the original cast and went straight to DVD. We might need to watch I Still Know What You Did Last Summer eventually, because that could definitely be worthwhile.
They're like, we're gonna kill their kids too.
I will say that one of the biggest jump scares for me. One of the biggest jump scares for me was the fucking very end when he came through the fucking plate glass that had I Still Know written in the steam. I was not expecting him to come through that. And I was like, oh shit.
Real jump scare.
It was a pretty solid jump scare, definitely. The last piece of half-assed internet research I've got is there's a remake in the works from Sony. It's expected sometime in the next 2 years, and it was written by Mike Flanagan and Jeff Howard, who are the writers of the 2 horror films Oculus and Ouija: Origin of Evil. They've already turned in a script, apparently. And Neil Moritz, who was a producer on the original film and the first sequel, is on board to produce it, and apparently the remake is going to have a much different feel, where they're not going to necessarily have like a fisherman or something. I read a little bit about it. I didn't read like that much into it, but it does still seem like it is going to be made, at least as of last summer. I don't know. It's been in the works since like 2014, but this was saying that Sony wanted to make it by 2020. So we'll see if it happens. I could be into it if they do a good job. Like, that's the real thing is they need like Blumhouse or something involved if they want to do a good job making a horror movie, because Blumhouse makes all the best horror movies nowadays. All right. Well, that wraps up this week's discussion of I Know What You Did Last Summer. But since we don't only watch bad movies and tea, let's talk about some of the stuff that we have genuinely enjoyed watching lately. Tim, how about you?
So I've been kind of on a Marvel kick lately, considering Captain Marvel is going to be coming out soon. I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp earlier today.
It's pretty awesome. It's on Netflix, huh?
I love that.
I was so happy to see that.
Yeah.
Little post-credits moment.
When they all disappear.
Yep.
And he's... Yeah.
Guys! Oh!
Yeah. And how about you?
I'm watching Chopped.
Ooh, nice. I do like some Chopped.
Just addicted to watching Chopped. I just watch Chopped like all the time now.
Nice. It's a...
Chop.
Like,
a good show.
Like
I love it.
Just like trying to watch something that you don't like, you get invested, but you don't. It's not like you don't have to.
Yeah,
like
I'll
watch
find myself
100%.
watching, and I'll just be like, "That one's gonna get chopped."
Mm-hmm.
All right, their dish was terrible compared to like these people, and I'll be like, I'll just be sitting there, and I'll be like, they didn't do this or that or the other thing.
What's the host
Terrible.
guy's name? I like the host on Chopped. That's pretty awesome.
I don't remember. They always swap out the judges, and I don't remember the host's name, but
okay.
That show is very addictive. Otherwise, I find myself just watching like Bob's Burgers, like
nice.
kind of just like boring. Like I've been just jumping between like Hulu and Netflix and jumping between different things. But there was a movie actually on Netflix that I did really want to watch that I saw the other day, but I don't remember the name of it.
I want to watch that new one with Jake Gyllenhaal on there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Velvet,
Volver something.
No, I don't think
it's like made by the creator of Caller.
Yes, Buzzsaw.
Yeah,
yeah. Look at so I personally, I said,
that's a funny fun show.
I never watched it. And I get third season cut out soon.
It is literally, oh my god, and so like one of the funniest shows I've ever watched in my life. It's so fucking funny.
I always heard it was funny, and I'd like listen to interviews with Nicole and where he like talks about it and how much fun it is to make and stuff, and I just never given it a shot. And then
weirdly, it has so many like perfectly weird little accurate depictions of puberty on both sides. It's so fucking funny.
Absolutely.
Like one of my favorites is like one of the second episodes or something where the puberty monster for the girl is like, "You no longer call your mother Mom. From now on, she is Shannon." And she comes in, she's like, "Honey, are you okay?" And she turns around and goes, "Get the fuck out of my room, Shannon!" Oh my god,
yeah, dude, it's just so fucking funny. Like, it's just like constant, like hilarious,
constantly funny. Yeah, oh my god. And then you got what's his face who plays Rafi on the lead. Yeah, he is such a weird character, and he's like his character on the show is like baby version of Rafi. It's like he's just like a fucking animal.
He is. He truly is. Or the coach when the coach bangs mom.
And he's like, "I'm gonna be your Steve. I make hot mess. I mean hot make or whatever." He talks like this. Like,
well, and then
Steve.
The next one, they're like, he's teaching them some,
and
they're like, "Since I'm definitely qualified to teach you this now." They're like, "Use protection," and he's like, "I didn't even think about that." Oh man. Yeah,
how far into it are you?
I'm almost through the second season.
Oh, okay.
Which I just happened to start. They may have put it on
with the Shame Wizard. Shame.
Wait, is that the dude who was Professor Lupin? Is that his voice? In Harry Potter?
I don't know. Actually, Google because I also I think Hormone Monster is like my all-time favorite character. It's like just being like, "I like this fucking little freak." He's like talking about makes a fucking pillow. And he's like, "This kid might be a fucking genius." He's reading it. I think this is genius.
It's so true. All right, I got to say Shane.
I need to watch the second.
Oh,
So I can do that after we're done.
It's really funny. I definitely would recommend it. Definitely, it's just
The whole
so
scene, like dancing with Millie or whatever, the girl, like Andrew, one of the characters, like at the prom day, like rubs up against the girl, like jizz in his pants. Beforehand, he's like in their minds, it's the two hormone monsters, like having like lawyers meeting and in a closed office, and they're like, "She's minus everything. He's Bantu. He's like, what's going on?" He like comes in his pants.
That's awesome.
Good luck.
when he like is like, he's like, oh, should I back off? And he's, nope.
No,
we're going for it.
Like, oh, slow down, Copernicus, or he's like, or what's he call him when he's like, like I remember there's a whole scene
Icarus, because Icarus,
he's like Icarus flying too close to the sun. And he goes up like he's like talking to the redhead chick. He's like, I know what you need, and he's like, you're horny. You need your boobs touched, and she like starts choking out. And he's like, Icarus is flying too close to the sun.
So David Lewis does play the Shamed, and that is the guy who was Professor Lupin Pod.
Oh wow!
What was Lupin again? God, it's just funny. I want to watch it again.
That was Prisoner Azkaban, I think.
Yeah, that's the first one.
The werewolf.
Oh, he even looks
werewolf.
like that. Like the Shamus looks sort of like him with his mustache.
Absolutely. It's I was watching that on Netflix, and the season 3 comes out February 8th, so you're just in time to catch up before the 3rd season.
Sweet.
Oh God,
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Exciting news.
Yeah. That wraps up this week's discussion of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Don't forget to check out our incredible website, coldnorthpro.com, where you can see everything we do in one place. Listen to us weekly on our other gaming podcast, Hard Reset. Next time, we'll be watching Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. See you next time, and don't forget, no refunds.